What's up? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hope Shot. Like, what the hell's going on? It's not Sunday.
Tuesday edition.
It's Tuesday.
As long as we're not going back in time, I'm cool with whatever day it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I can't even go back. I don't get. Hey, I hope everybody had a great weekend. I'm not in my usual dialogue, so I'm like, hope everybody's week starting off great.
Yeah, I just don't want to redo on Monday. That's all. Everything else, all good.
What about the Super Bowl? You don't want to redo the Super Bowl? Are you happy with the results?
Honestly, I wasn't really that invested in that game. It was fun to watch, but
yeah, it's all right. Yeah, it was good. If you guys just jumping on, say what's up. Let us know you're here, and thanks for joining us on a Tuesday. Turned up on the Tuesday.
turned up on Tuesday. I like that.
Yeah. So tonight, man, we're gonna be. Oh wait, hold on. Caesar, will you please read your clarity statement? Clarity statement. It's Tuesday. I have no clue what's going on. I'm all flabbergasted.
Discombobulated.
Whatever.
The Hope Shot clarity statement. We here at the Hope Shot are a group of people in recovery spreading inspiration. We come from all different walks of life and pathways of recovery. Our verbiage may be different at times, but we all have one thing in common. Recovery is a lifestyle. We support all pathways of recovery. It doesn't matter how you get from A to Z, just get there. And thank you for being a part of our Hope Shot family.
Thanks, Caesar. You know, you're getting better at that, man. You've been doing it for like 3 years now.
It's 3 years and I don't have it memorized. So not exactly killing it.
Yeah. So tonight's topic, I'm going to let Nate talk about tonight's topic since it's his topic. It's not even my topic.
Not really.
Not really, but we just kind of agreed.
I'll do it though.
It's been a common theme lately. That's all.
It has. No, it's not Nate's topic, but we all. Yeah.
So anyway, last night we were at the meeting we go to on Mondays, and it was it's on the chapter in our literature in the recovery we subscribe to, talking about inventory, which is the fourth step, and how important this part of the process is. So that's where taking stock comes from, and it's wild because a couple weeks at my home group I picked we have a men's retreat coming up, and I picked a 4-step to talk about. So I started listening to 4-step speakers a lot, and it seems like every meeting I go to is talking about the 4 steps. So everything, we and Caesar is also teaching it at his church. So and Justin is right. You're going through your steps again, right, Justin? So you're like right there.
Yeah.
As am I. I'm on
the cusp.
I just finished mine, and I'm about to do another 5th step next week. So yeah, it seems to be in the cosmos. So we wanted to just come on here and talk about it. So do you want me to just take off, Justin, or
I mean, yeah.
You want to read some comments or shout outs?
No, you're good.
There is none.
There's no comments to read until you take off. Then they'll comment about that.
Yeah, but they're just waiting on you to get fired up, bro.
No.
Climb the line, you know what I mean?
I'm trying to fire up. It's a Tuesday, man. It's a different vibe, right?
It is on a Tuesday.
Vibe. Yeah. Anyway, so this part of the process, and here's a little spoiler alert. You don't have to be necessarily in any type of fellowship or 12-step program to really apply this principle into your life, right? I think it's absolutely vital for anybody at any point in their life, no matter if they're in recovery or not, to write down, Caesar said, assets and liabilities, to take stock. Yes, to take stock, right? To take stock of our life and what's going on and what we're carrying. I can think back, and after about maybe the first decade, I wasn't really getting loaded anymore for the party or to feel good or to have a good time, right? I was it became medicinal. It became something I had to do. Why? Because after, accumulating experiences, I was, racked. I was racked with guilt and shame and insecurities and, oh my God, fears, right? All this stuff, fear was the root. And I was really like controlled by external circumstances. Every person, place, and thing push my button, right? I was completely reactionary. I just didn't know how to navigate, in a normally functioning society, in any capacity. I didn't have it in me, right? And so the easy thing to do is to place blame and say, oh well, these laws are stupid, and this judge, she's really hard on me, she won't give me a break, or my mom and dad didn't give me enough attention, or my brother's an asshole, or you can add, fill in the blank, right? It was, and I I could not ever potentially have the opportunity to grow or to go in any other different direction than the way I was going until I truly, took stock and figured out what am I carrying? What are these things? What is this weight, right? And in our, in our fellowship, it talks about, the most important part of this process, right, is it's not so much as because after this step in our fellowship, we go to the fifth step, where we tell another human being the exact nature of our wrongs, right? And I don't know about you guys, but I have the exact nature of my wrongs are pretty freaking terrifying, right? I know that the exact nature of my wrongs was the very thing that perpetuated my alcoholism and addiction for so many years. I could not live with who I was and what I did to others, right? I could not live with it. I was literally haunted. And the only way to not think about that stuff was to put more stuff in me, right? And thus perpetuating this, like, vicious cycle where I had to numb myself. So what to do. I come in here and I have no idea. So I surrender to the process. I'm identify the problem, which is me. I'm the problem, right? It's not people, places, and things, institutions, nothing. The problem is yours truly, right? And then I, become willing, right? I become willing to believe that there's something greater than me, that maybe there's something out there, and that can, bless me with some, sanity, right? So that can, remove this obsession that has been completely paralyzing me and, dictating my every action, thought, for the last 2+ decades, right? And then I become a little willing, right? I have a shift. I become willing to do some work, and then we get into this part where we're doing an inventory, and this is where like the rubber meets the road. This is where I've seen more people fail than move forward. And let me not say fail, but falter, right? And even if they don't falter and they don't follow through with it, they do it, but they leave these certain little things out, right? They're like, I'm not telling this guy that, man. That shit's embarrassing. I want to take this stuff to my grave, but I promise you, like, everything I ever left out in this vital step of my recovery, put me back out on the streets again, right? So I come into here and I start to, and I can only really see this stuff in retrospect after a few years and doing this process a few times, right? But now I see, that I look back, and it's not so much about getting, it's not so much about what I'm saying. It's the fact that I have never been completely honest about who I am in my entire life, right? And the freedom that awaits me on the other side of, telling somebody all of these things that have been completely controlling my life for so many years. I can't even begin to explain the power in this step, right? But I can only experience this power if I am completely honest. I cannot leave out anything, nothing. I couldn't, because I understand that it's those few things that I haven't talked about or dealt with or faced that can continue to keep me sick, right? So, and what I discover is that it's not so much about like, I'm telling another guy, he's like, yeah, me too. I've been through it too, that right there solidifies that I'm not alone, that somebody else has been through the same mess I've been. But what it's doing is I come in here completely consumed with darkness, right? I am filled with this like just inky, dark, black darkness, right? There's no light can find its way in. And how I see it is that there is a direct line from me to whoever I believe in, whatever you choose to call it, Buddha, Allah, God, I don't care what you call it, but there's a direct line, right? A to B. And I have all this stuff in the way. No, he can't get through. He can't find the way to me, right? And even if he does find the way to me, I'm unable to see it because all I can see is all this other mess inside of me. My eyes are blinded by guilt and shame and insecurity and fears and low self-worth, lack of self-esteem, and until I can identify what these things are, and most importantly, take responsibility for the very first time in my entire life, I cannot move forward, right? And what I do when I do a thorough and honest inventory is I see that I am the common denominator in all my problems, right? It has what people and places thing have very little to do with how I react. I am the problem, right? Where did he come from? I am the problem. And for once, by putting this stuff out on paper, and I can finally understand, like I've never understood before, that there is no one to blame. I can't put this on anybody else. And in that, I finally take responsibility. I finally become accountable. And now I can take true action because I know, or I have a better understanding of where this stuff is coming from, causes and conditions, right? I have to get down to the root of these problems. And like we talked about last night, it's all based from fear. I am afraid of losing things. I'm afraid of getting things. I'm afraid of not getting what I want or losing the little that I have. My whole life is fear-based, right? So, but I don't know these things. I don't understand them until I do the work. And once I do that work, and I'm telling you, it's the most liberating. That and step 8 and 9 were probably some of the most liberating steps that I've ever taken in this process. It really put some weight off my shoulder. And what it did is it transformed every liability into an asset, right? It took all those nothings and made it something, right? Now I can really see, where I was at, where I went wrong, and perhaps, through the rest of this process, figure out how not to repeat this thing. And just how this thing works, it has another part in these steps that allows us to check in with ourselves on a daily basis with the same process. So that way I nothing's new, right? And yeah, amazing step. I could talk for hours on this very step. It's one of the most beautiful and liberating things. If you haven't done it, I highly suggest that you do it. Why not? Why carry this stuff? It serves no purpose any longer in a life of recovery. So might as well get it all out. Might as well get honest with another human being for the first time in our life. And only in that space can we truly start to grow.
Yep.
Good shit, Nate. Good stuff.
Definitely good stuff.
If you don't mind, Justin, after you read some comments, do you mind if I go while my brain's still percolating from what he said?
Sure.
Percolating.
We got Amanda. Thank you for being the first person to comment. It was getting a little weird up in here. We got Deborah. Good to see you. Thank you. We try to be awesome. We're not gonna let it get to our head, I promise. Rudolph, become an asset instead of a liability. That is what it's about. We got Kara with 10 months. Congratulations to you. Boom, boom, boom. We got Shannon. Good to see you. And we have Deborah saying, living in sobriety since 11/4/2014. Congratulations. I had this guy. We got Landon says he just started his fourth step. Good for you, man. There's freedom in it. We got Stacy with clean since 1/20/2020. Bunch of 20s. 2020.
Yeah, we still sick.
Yeah, we're sick as fuck. We got Andrea. I'm in rehab currently, struggling to get things I need. Well, it's a good spot to be in rehab. Are you guys watching us from rehab? That's cool. Which rehab are you in? Let's see. We have Sean says Arkansas here.
Right.
Today is his first day clean after a 2-day relapse.
Beautiful. So glad you're here, my friend.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I know it's, where's this guy? There he is. Stevens. I'm on a 5-month sober streak. Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Didn't someone streak last night at the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I don't know if it was a streak, like in the streak, but
I'm just going to assume it was a streak.
Yeah. I know you want it to be a streak.
You do too.
Yeah, I do too. All right, let's go ahead, man. Go ahead and
yeah, this has been like a reoccurring deal in my life now for the past month. But so if you guys are anything like me, I got court ordered to go to meetings pretty young, started going to rehabs. I saw the damn steps on the wall. I heard the speaker saying that you gotta do the 4-step, and like I was like, yeah, that's something I'm absolutely never doing. I am never writing down all the stuff that I did and sharing that with somebody. That is not happening. I don't like to write. Like, I'm not a writer. I don't like to write stuff down. B, that's evidence. Like that was my thinking. I was like, I'm not doing any of that until things got bad enough and I ran out of ideas and schemes and plans, and I was willing to try something different. And if I'm being honest, like as that thing crept up, I was terrified of it. And I did it because I just wanted something different than what I had. Like I would have traded lives with anybody. I was so miserable, so full of guilt and shame, had zero self-worth. So I started digging into this thing, and Nate put it really well, but when we come into this thing, we're filled with resentments, fear, guilt, shame. And you hear people talking about, you have to plug into this power greater than yourself. How can I hear anything but the chatter between my ears? Even when I was in that rehab for a little while, all I can think about is the wreckage that was outside of that rehab. And I'm going, well, in 4 months, I'm getting out of here. And then what? Like, then I got to face this disaster that I have created. Every life that I touched, everything that I did, everyone that encountered me was scarred from what I was. I was like just a leech. And I sat down with this guy and we were going through all this. And if I'm being honest, at the time, I didn't really see the value in it. I'm like, I'm going to write all this crap down. And, and I'm not dumb. I can read on the wall. Then I got to share it with you is the next thing I got to do. But I got to write it all down. And he's like, man, you're getting way too ahead of yourself. We're just going to kind of go back through your life and Take a look at all these things you were resentful about. We're going to look at all the fears that you've had in your life. We're going to look at your relationships, because spoiler alert, this whole recovery deal is about relationships. We don't know how to have relationships with people. I don't mean like sexual relationships. Like, I don't know how to be a friend, a brother, a son. I don't know how to be a husband, a father. And I certainly don't know how to have a relationship with a higher power. I'm so selfish and so self-centered when I come into this deal that all I know is me, I, my problems. And that's all I can hear inside my head is, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What about me? And my sponsor told me one time, he goes, if you don't think you're selfish, tell me how many times, just make a conscious effort to see how much you think about yourself in a day. And I made that conscious effort. And at the end of the day, I called him and I was like, oh my God, all I think about is myself. It's literally, I'm thinking about, hey, are you looking at me? Do my clothes look funny? Why is that guy so slow? He's holding me up. He's gonna, like, it's just me, I all day long. So back to, I'm finally willing to write this thing out, right? And I'm getting it all down on paper. I don't know the reason really, but I'm doing what I'm told. In the value of this, I don't care if you're in a 12-step program. I don't care if you're in a no program. The value of looking at my shit show of a life on paper and being able to go over that is powerful. To be able to see where all these times that I think I'm the victim of this and that and poor me, and if you had this, if you'd gone through this, you'd be like me too. It stripped all that away, because every single thing that I thought was done with me, to me, I started it. I started the ball rolling in all of it. In every resentment, everything that I thought I was the victim in, somewhere along the line, I caused that shit. And then it came back and it splashed on me. And I went, oh my God, poor me. See what happened? But it was me. And it forced me to look inside, because I'd look everywhere for a solution, but at me. If I could just make some more money, if I could just hold the job, if I could just not put a needle in my arm, things will be better. No, nothing was going to be better until I went inside and I looked at all this stuff. And we did it last night too. It's hard to talk about a fourth without talking about a fifth. It's just, they just go hand in hand. But when this guy asked me, like, the precursor to writing down these fears, I was like, fears, typical macho man answer. I was like, what fears? I've got no fears, man. I ain't scared of nothing. Like, because this guy hadn't been where I'd been, like, or where we had been, Nate. I was like trying to explain like the shit that I've seen in my life. And he's like, buddy, no, we're not talking about like not being afraid to get in a fight or some shit like that. He's like, the fears that have driven your behavior for the past 3 decades. And we dug into that. And I was like, crap. I went from Mr. Macho guy to I'm afraid of everything. Fear drives every decision I've ever made. Why do I lie? Why do I lie so much? I'm afraid you won't like me. I'm afraid that if I show you who I really am and I'm honest with you, that everybody's going to run away from me. Fear-based. The 3 big ones. I'm afraid I'm going to lose something that I have. I'm afraid I'm not going to get something I want. That's a big one. I'm not going to get something that I want. I can be as nice and sweet as I need to be, or I could be as horrible and violent as I need to be, because I got to get what I want. And the last one that really hit home was fear of other people's opinion of me. The chameleon, the different person in different crowds, and being whoever I think that I need to be, and all these layers that I learned about myself. No wonder I was batshit crazy. Like, they talk about the sunlight of the spirit. They talk about I like the way Nate puts it. I'm filled with darkness and I have to let the light in. There's no way to let the light in until I unpack the bullshit that's inside of me. So we dive into this thing And I don't want to give you like some perception that I wrote like a dissertation that was 300 pages long. I did the best I could at like 4 months sober in a rehab with a burnt out brain. And I wrote down what I needed to write down. And we sat down and we had a conversation about all this crap. And the way I described it is I just took all this bullshit out and threw it on the table for the first time in my life. The guy that was sitting across from me did not judge me. He matched my calamity with his serenity. He shared with me experiences he had. He shared shameful things that he did that made me understand that I wasn't alone. I wasn't going to be shamed and that it was okay. And we looked at all this stuff, and I finally learned about what made me tick. And what it came down to was fear. Fear is what made me tick from a very young age. That voice in my head that I've always had that says you're not good enough, you're not fast enough, you're not funny enough, that just multiplied with all the actions that I needed to take to stay high. More guilt, more shame. That voice gets louder and louder, and I can't hear anything else. So I have to put something in my body to stop the voice in my head. And I keep using, and the cycle continued. Well, I broke the cycle. I really feel like it was the biggest step in that direction, was sharing every nook and cranny and every little bullshit darkness thing that I had done with somebody in a judgment-free setting where I could receive some guidance. And there's stuff that I did. I mean, dude, there's stuff we do when we're out there that you don't want to share with anybody. I mean, I had my head down when I was talking about some of this stuff because I'm like, I can't look at you when I say this, like I was a real piece of crap when I was out there. But what a freedom to walk out of that, and go, holy crap, I was finally thoroughly honest with somebody for probably the first time in my life. I don't know any time before that I really ever told the truth. I told you what I thought you wanted to hear. And that was a lifetime of, I just need to get what I need to get. And if I tell you what you want to hear, you'll probably get me what I want. I was that forever until this moment that I did this thing. And really, I learned the value of that internal honesty and being honest with somebody else. And I felt like I was really a part of the recovery community when I took this. When I did this, everything else I'd done up to that point was like, oh, I made a decision and I read some things and we talked about some stuff, but I really dug deep in this and shared this with somebody. And that was, I don't know, I felt like I actually belonged somewhere for once. Like, hey, I'm in this deal. I am part of this recovery community. I did the damn hard thing for the first time. The first time I didn't run away from something because I'm good at that. Oh, it's getting hard. Well, we don't want hard. We're going to run away. We're going to go the other direction and go do something completely different. So, like I said, it does. We support all pathways, but there's value in taking a look at your life and figuring out what makes you tick. Like, I don't care where you are. I mean, we said taking stock, that was the banner we were going to put up because we didn't want to turn anybody off by saying a fourth step or taking inventory. But the fact is, if you run a business, you got to take inventory. You got to find out what's selling and what's crap that's just taking up space on your shelves that's doing you no good. And if you don't do that, your business isn't successful. And if you don't do that with your life won't be successful. That's it.
Thanks, Caesar. I like that last analogy. It's just like that. It's just like a business.
Try to hit you with that business talk, son.
That's the only way I understand. You know what I mean? Like, hit him with the inventory. He ain't selling product, bro.
That's it. Hey, man, you got to get the zooms and the whams off the shelf to make room for the new stuff.
Yeah, knock the dust off the bottle. We got Katie Hendricks says, I'm so glad I logged into Facebook and seen you guys live. Been struggling with the flu and desperately needed a meeting. Thanks for being here, guys. That flu's been kicking everybody's ass lately. It's been 1-2 punches, dude. And then you think you're done and it'll come back for more.
All of us on this screen got the double punch.
Yeah. Like, where'd you come from? Hell, thought we was done with this, man. like Debo and Debo and Ice Cube and the fight on Friday, and then like he done. Get up, Craig. Get up. Oh God, I need that. Little things that amuse me. Let's see. We got. We got Jessica's. I celebrated 10 years in July, and I was told at the beginning if I didn't know the word I read to highlight it and look it up, write down the definition, and that really helped me a lot. I still have to do this because only I can do the work. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, I am not good with words, and if they're too big, I have to look them up in order to understand. Because if there's no understanding, there's no growth. It's just the way it is. If you don't understand something, just ask, and asking you shall receive. But I'm definitely that guy too. So thanks for sharing that. And congratulations on 10 years. That's awesome. 1 decade. We got Brett. He says, great to see you guys on a weeknight. Haven't been able to catch Sundays live due to sober house commitments Sunday nights. Always try to catch the show later, but not the same. Thanks for doing your thing, guys. I'm glad we did it during the week too, so you can catch us live, man. We want to make sure we're, situated for everybody, It's live is definitely a different feel. Let's see. We have Tammy. It says, I will have 20 years on April 23rd. I was hardcore. Changes can and do happen if you put the work in. Got to do the work. Let's see. We have Andrea says 8/28/2017. Congratulations to you. Let's see. Kevin is just wondering. Oh, I think he had a comment about Caesar needing to.
Oh yeah, he was talking
answer his phone. Yeah, what's new? I thought that's what the comment was.
No, he's talking to one of the people on here to reach out to him.
We got Rachel sick. She's sick too. Hope slaps on a Tuesday. Share. Thanks, Rachel. Hope you get better. Get better. We need you out here.
I hope you feel better, Rachel. And we love you.
Yes, we love you. And we got Kevin from Alaska. What's up, man?
Dude, Kevin from Alaska with the sweet VW bus too.
Yeah, I see that. We got Sandy says, I too am full of shit, but it's like organic meal prep, not Dinty Moore stew.
Dinty Moore stew.
We got Wayne. What's up, Wayne? Need
What's
coffee,
up, Wayne?
protein.
I got people coming to see you tomorrow so we can get protein coffee.
Yeah, and we got Rudolph 1/1/2023, and we have Edie with 7/17/22. Holla, friends. Holla. Rudolph says Crystal is on a plane, but she says hello. Hello, Crystal. All right. So
hi, Crystal.
So 4-step. I just had a conversation with somebody. I'm gonna mute you guys, just to let you know. So I can't deal. Thank you. You mute yourself. My bad. Sorry, echo is just like it's weird with these on. It's like you're right here. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like I just had a conversation with Ito earlier, and we were just talking about the spirituality and the mental and all this stuff, and the steps, they're in order, right? And like first you get back your physical, you stop putting the drugs in you so you can get your body back to some kind of normal. You get detox and all that, and then you get your mental back because you start believing in a power. You start that thing, right? And then you turn it over, and that's when you start really getting your spirituality, and then it starts building and building and building. And I think my whole existence in this recovery field, I always like bumping my head. Like I still was doing it my way because I've done it for so long. I've done it this way for so long, not relying on anything to help me out, right? But would it get me, right? Just kept me being miserable. You can sit here and be miserable this whole time in recovery, and it sucks because you don't have anything to like ease the pain, right? That we're causing to ourselves. And so, but then here comes the fourth step, right? And the fourth step, this is where you start finding out, like Caesar said, what triggers you, what makes you tick, right? Why do I keep wanting to beat myself into the ground? Why do I keep running myself into a wall? Why do I keep doing the same shit I really don't want to fucking do, over and over and over? And you're like, dang, I got in this recovery deal to start doing some things, right? I want to change, right? Well, where's that change happen? It doesn't help. And, the 1, 2, and 3 is great, but where do we need to get down to the root cause of why are we doing the things we do? And I think that's like the best thing for it. We get in this recovery thing. We think the fellowship's everything. We think this, like the 1, 2, and 3 is great, believe in higher power, but you have to keep going. You know what I mean? Like you got to keep going. It's just making the decision and then turning your will. That means doing them. You know what I mean? Because we want to get down to the nitty gritty of why do we keep going back into the same cycle? We talk about it, that's been brought up a lot, especially Nate. We talk about it a lot. That cycle, you keep going over and over and you wonder why nothing changes because we do nothing different. And we're wondering why we're getting the same results. Well, as soon as I start doing something different and taking the suggestions that everybody's been telling me for multiple years, okay. Yeah. And Caesar brings up a lot. Yeah, I hear you, but I'm going to do this, I'm just going to do this. Yeah. Cause and it's really, I just had a conversation. I have a lot of conversations and we talk about, like most of my conversations are about recovery, about how, about just life, and growing, and that's the conversations I have these days. It's not, we do later. You go to the bar. Let's go to the bar. You're copping this and copping that. It's growing, and damn, I lost my train of thought. Shit, that sucks. But we have but anyways, I have a lot of conversations. Anyways, but yeah, man, damn, I did lost my train of thought like crazy. But anyways, damn. How's it going, man?
It's okay, buddy.
I lost it, dude.
It's Tuesday, man. It's
Tuesday. We turned up.
Tuesday vibe.
Yeah, and really, if you think about it, Tuesday is like the armpit of the week, right? It has really no significance. It's not quite Wednesday. It's not hump day. It's not Monday. It's just Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. I look forward to Tuesday because I get to go to my gym.
All right, let me go back on my rant.
You back, Justin?
You
back?
But anyways, I talk to certain people, and I express how important the fourth step is and how like we got to keep moving forward. And in order to get all that shit out, I don't know about y'all, man, but I was an angry person in my addiction. I was so angry and I didn't know why. I didn't know. I was just miserable. Like I hated everything about life. I hated every aspect. I hated waking up. I hated freaking every food. I hated the music. I hated that guy's voice. I hate everything. And Caesar, you were talking about it earlier. We were talking about you're talking about like people and like I get in this mood when I'm driving and I feel like a hostage when I'm behind a slow person, right? I feel like a hostage. I even say it out loud. I'm like, I feel like a fucking hostage. And I'm driving behind a slow person and they're doing like maybe the speed limit, right? And I want to go 5 miles over. And I'm like, son of a bitch, man, I feel like a hostage. And then I'm like, dude, just chill out. Okay. You're going to get to you're going to go to that stop sign up there and they're going to be right behind you. Literally. You're not getting any further than where you are. Start pumping the brakes a little bit, and I think that's a lot to do with when we get into recovery, right? We get the 1, 2, and 3 down. We get our freaking we get some sanity back, we get a life back, we get some color in our skin, we get some meat on our bones, we get maybe a couple wardrobes. Some of us get more, who knows, in the first year, right? And then we got to get the stuff. We have to keep getting the stuff, and we want to speed up and get this. And life is so fast paced and it's such a success driven, and trying to keep up with the Joneses, that we forget to do the actual work that actually we made the decision to do, and that's to move forward. And Nate, I love that how he expresses it by saying that, like, there is a direct line between us and our higher power, and we have to remove the stuff. And then it was like this. It's like this is the line right now. We have to go around all this stuff, and we're going like around a mountain, right? And instead of a direct line, which is the easier, softer way of doing things, we want the easier, softer way, and that's why we do drugs and alcohol, because it's the easier, softer way in order to deal with life and life's terms. And if we take a step back and actually really examine what are we doing in our recovery, like I've seen that one guy in there, he says that he's trying to stay sober. What we have to really dig deep. We have to really dig deep into ourselves and get real with ourselves and figure out, what does that look like for me, right? Like, it's an individualized recovery process. This is all about you, because you're the only one that is suffering at the moment. And we have to get out of ourselves and figure out, hey, what can I do to make this happen? Who can I talk to? Do I go to meetings? I don't know. Are you going to meetings? Are you fellowshipping with people that are doing the exact same thing that you want to be doing? I would say you got to plug yourself in the right place and then take the suggestions they're giving you, because they have long-term success with sustainable recovery. And that's how it happens. Like, there's so many times that I was out there and like I do drug court, get my paper signed, and I'll go do this, and I'm, come to the meetings, and they're like, yeah, you got to do this, that, and the other. I'm like, oh, I work, bro. Like, I have a job and stuff. And that's what I used to do. I work myself in the ground and do drugs, and that's all I did, and now I just work myself in the ground and stay in recovery. But you got to pick your vices, right? It's a lot easier, working, now. But I use that excuse all the time. Like, dude, everybody freaking works. Like, there's not an excuse for you not to go to freaking to do the work, and what's funny, it's like, it's hard sometimes. I get bent out of shape about reading, right? I don't know about any of y'all, but reading is my kryptonite. Like, I look at this long thing of reading and I'm like, holy crap, like, it's this big ordeal. And but I find a little bit of times, and actually that yeah, I read. Yes, Rudolph, I do read, and only sometimes. But but I'll make it such a big deal that I don't do the work because the reading, it's one of my defects, right? We're talking about assets and defects. Well, I mean, assets and liabilities. Well, that's a liability of mine, that I do not like reading. I just don't like words at all. And it's just not my strong suit. So that will hold me back. So that's something I have to actually look at harder. Anything that's holding you back from doing something in this life, you got to actually go at it harder on that one aspect of life. I tell my daughter this all the time. She's really good at language and spelling and stuff like that. Really good. Like, she'll concentrate on that, right? But on math, she will not give it any attention, and she's struggling the most. And I'm like, I promise you, I was like, you need to concentrate on that one aspect of your life, and you have to freaking focus on it that way, because you have to do the work no matter what, right? And if you want to grow, if you want to freaking be, smart or whatever, and then in our case, successful recovery, then you got to freaking do the work. That the one thing that holds you back, you got to concentrate on. You got to give that double time, double time. So, that's something I have actually done, and I'm practicing to not let it hold me back anymore, because that's one thing that holds me back from actually doing the work I need to do. So,
dude, I'm glad you said that. I was not able to hold a job, so I didn't say like I worked hard and I did drugs. Like, I just did drugs. That was my full-time job. But I understand what you're saying. You're like, oh man, I got to work and I got to do this. And it's funny. I put myself in check, because I do that. I'm like, man, I don't know if I can make it there. I got to work all day, and then I got to do this, and I just take a step back, and I'm like, if I don't do recovery, I know exactly what I got. I ain't got no job. I ain't got no house. I ain't got no family. I ain't got no nothing. It just all I got to do is look back and go, okay, what did I come into this deal with? Nothing. I had nothing. When I left my final rehab, I had $60 in clothes that they gave me. That's pretty close to nothing. And yeah, if I don't put my recovery first, boy, everything that I decide to put in front of it, that's go bye-bye, adios. I've got a lifetime of evidence that shows that whatever's more important to me than doing this deal is going to go bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's Justin, you said something that made me think, like how the thing in traffic, and I always tell you can gauge somebody's spiritual condition by how they navigate through traffic. Right. And anyway, but imagine this, you go up to an auditorium of people and you'd be like, you tell them, do you guys not ever want to be controlled by external circumstances ever again? Do you not want to let the traffic bother you? Do you not want to let that angry person at the store bother you? Do you not want to let, COVID-19 bother you? Do you not want to let politics bother you? Do you not want to let, someone treating you poorly or, and you say, and then everybody's like, yeah, they're all cheering. Woo. Yeah, of course. I want that. This is how it starts. This is what this is the beginning of that process, is to finally not be consumed and controlled by external circumstances, which is not to say it's not going to pop up. It's not going to happen, but to have a tool, a solution to where you can start looking at life and how it flows outside of you from a different angle. So you could finally see, it says in some of our literature, you could see these people as spiritually sick. If someone's angry or violent or what have you, fill in the blank, you see them differently. You put themselves in their shoes, and I promise you, like, this is the beginning of that. This is what everybody wants in life, right? Everybody doesn't want, I never wanted to be controlled by something somebody else did, or what they, even worse, what they thought of me, and I would create the narrative that they thought of me with, I didn't even know if they actually thought it. I just thought they thought it, and freedom from that, right? To just choose life and go with the flow, right? I can, and how I am operating internally is what I'm receiving externally, right? So I need to figure out what is going on in here, man. I have, it says also, if we fix the spiritual, right? If we get connected with the spiritual, the physical and mental will soon follow. It'll be healed as well. There is ultimate freedom, and if nobody does this thing perfect, but I know if you're practicing it, you're about to experience a much different life. Your life will absolutely be transformed, and it's free. You don't have to pay $150 an hour for 2 years or you shocked at what you don't have to do ayahuasca. You don't have to, this is an easy, simple process. It's free, and it's available to anyone. And, and I used to say, oh, I wish I found it sooner. I wish I would have gotten this before, so I could have, but guess what? I had to go through all that stuff. And that's another thing, this process that, I was able to discover through this process, is that everything I went through was for a damn good reason. And that is to be able to translate my experience, strength, and hope. But I can only see it as a positive after I do these things. Right.
Yeah. I would have nothing. We would have nothing to talk about if we didn't go through all the bullshit. We wouldn't have the experience. What makes it is the experiences that we go through in order to get to where we at. Now, if you look at everything like that, like, what is this showing me? What is this teaching me? Anything you go through, it's like you have an opportunity to see to grow through it. You know, I seen a comment over here that says this guy was asking about the, you know, help others out. How has it ever been said that you're focusing more on the pain than rather than healing? And you can flip those words around. It's all about language. It's you're focusing on the problem more than the solution. I mean, that's exactly what it says to me, is you're focusing on the problem more than the solution. And we get fixated, you know, it's a part of who we are as addicts or alcoholics, you know, is we get fixated on these problems, you know, and make them so much bigger than what they are, instead of looking at, okay, well, what is this teaching me? How can I grow through this? Or what is it? And listen, it doesn't happen all the time. I like to hold on to stuff for a long time, but most of the time, man, especially now, lately, now that my mind is a little bit more subtle, you know, I can get to the solution a lot faster than where I used to. Not some days, it just depends on my spiritual condition, where I'm at mentally. You know, what am I doing through my daily practices? Like ever since I started doing more during my daily morning routines, life has been a little bit easier. So life doesn't beat me up as I allowed it to before, you know, it's whatever I'm allowing to beat me up, you know? So yeah.
Hey, let's put that back up for a second.
Okay.
Has it ever been said that you're focusing more on the pain rather than the healing? I'll give my personal experience on that. If I didn't dig deep into the pain, there would have been no healing. If I didn't figure out what was causing the pain and how to fix that, there would have been no healing. I mean, I would have loved to have skipped straight to the healing and not had to do these humbling things that led up to that. But if I don't know anything about humility, and that's why, you know, I hate to go back to 12 steps, but that's the reason that it's laid out the way it is. I'm full of myself. Like even at my lowest, I'm full of myself. It's false bravado, but I'm full of myself. And I go through this process, and especially this stuff that we're talking about, there's a lot of humility of sharing your darkest, ugliest moments with somebody. And once I did it, that's when the healing could begin. And if I didn't get that stuff out of me, it would have eaten my lunch every day for the rest of my life, because I'd always have that excuse. I'd always go, oh man, if you were suffering like me, you'd fucking pick up a drink too, or you'd pick up a drug too, because I carry this bag of guilt and shame around with me everywhere that I go. And this is my giant excuse to pick up another one. Until I dropped the bag, opened it up, and took a look at what was inside with somebody with some guidance, then I could put the bag down permanently, leave the excuses on the table, and start healing.
Yeah. And another way to look at that is also is the only way I can relate to somebody that's new or hasn't had this, you know, an experience of recovery or even knows what recovery is, I have to get that. I have to talk about the pain. That's the only thing they understand, right? That's the only thing that is how I can reach somebody, when I can really, you know, when I can really express and, you know, make them understand that I've seen what they've seen, felt what they felt, heard what they heard. I have been there, right? And only in that moment of connection can like somebody, well, the light turns on, and then that's the only time that I ever listened, when I knew that the very person that sitting across from me had been exactly where I've been, had felt the same pain I felt in that moment, and I saw the transformation. I saw the healing. I didn't even know what that meant at the time, but I saw there was a light in this person where there was darkness. But that is how that we don't, you know, pain might've been the golden ticket that got me to, you know, Willy Wonka land. Right. But gratefully and hopefully, as I you know, evolve in my recovery, doesn't have to be what motivates me anymore. You know, hopefully I can get the lesson before it gets too painful. But I needed to relate to that when I first got in here. And I promise you, I work with a lot of guys that are fresh off the streets, and that's how I can connect with them. When I can, you know, tell them I know how you feel, and I tell them why I know how they feel. and there's power, you know, in that honesty and that connection.
Yeah, in the, you know, we might not know that, like, the shit that's happened to us in, like, back in the day, right? You know, like from our past, we might think that we're over it, right? We might think that we've dealt with it. We're like, you just man up, blah blah blah, you know, or woman up or whatever, until it triggers you, and you're wondering why it happened, you know, and that's where, like, these 4 steps are very important to get down to those, because we feel like we dealt with something, but we really haven't, and it triggers us, and we wonder why we're getting triggered by something, and we keep going out, you know. And I think it's very important. And it's whether, and even listen, some things can't be handled with a 4-step. Some things you might need outside help for, you know, and that's okay too, you know. Okay. Like if it's something that, like, you know, you've done this, you've done that, you've done a thorough inventory, you know, sometimes you have to seek outside help as well for those things that cause you a great deal of pain, you know. And you know, we don't want to focus on the pain today. We just want to deal with it and then move on from it, and whatever way that looks like, to help us heal, you know. That's what this is about. This is a journey of healing and discovery, and that's what you know, that's what the steps are meant for. So anyways, let's read a few comments and then we'll wrap it up. And let's see, we have now I guess Kyle is from Mount Rushmore. Guys, I missed y'all. I'm sorry for going MIA. I'm glad y'all are still going strong and spreading the word to keep to help create change.
Or is he calling us Mount Rushmore? Because that'd be funnier.
Mount Rushmore guys. Oh, okay. Yeah, actually, yes. That could be.
I don't know. I'm just laughing.
We're a bunch of talking heads, so there's that.
That's it. The floating. Look, he commented. He said, "Calling." See, we're the floating heads of recovery. I like that, Kyle. Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. We got Tani. I think that's it. Yes, 5 years on 2-3. Happy to trudge the road to happy destiny with all of you. Congratulations. You just 2-3. Yeah, you just had it. Congratulations on 5 years. Let's see. We have David has 5-15-18. Congratulations to you. Let's see. Oh, Edie says Spanish for hello, holla.
Hola.
Hola.
That's pronounced.
That's what I thought it
was. Listen, I'm not Spanish though. Okay, holla. Holla.
Hola.
I'm not Spanish. What do you want from me?
I mean, the last name's Rodriguez, man. I can't let it slide. Holla. I didn't hear it the first time. That's hilarious.
It's pretty funny. We got Jasmine 4/30/23, my clean day. Congratulations to you. All right, you guys. So thank you all for being here tonight and on a Tuesday. We're gonna be back to our regular scheduled programming on Sunday. What?
Holla.
I can't stop laughing about holla.
Holla.
But hey, it's not like it's the first time it's happened or the last.
Okay, yeah, that's my favorite.
All right.
The laser beams.
All right. Hey, thanks guys for being here tonight, and we'll see you next Sunday. I'm gonna put the event up, so make sure you click going. I'm gonna do it as soon as I get done with here. That way we can get that thing some traction. And hope you guys have the great rest of your week, and we'll see you next Sunday. See you.